and we are doing this Facebook Live for you. We want to talk about how the church can and should respond to all of the coronavirus crisis, I guess we want to call it
Yep.
that now. And so um, we just thought this would be a good idea. Tony has been researching different ways that we can do ministry when church gets canceled. And I said, "Hey, man, we need to we need to do this and go live with it on the KMC page to talk about it." So, um,
Absolutely.
yeah, and as you guys know, and anybody that's coming on and joining us here as we go live, is that today and really through the weekend, I've kind of suspended the typical follow Friday to say, hey, post and promote your own stuff. But I really want to focus everything that we're posting today on how to help us get through this time, how to minister in times of crisis and things like that. So if you're a regular poster of your own information, make it focused on helpful information if you can. If not, you will see me popping it off, and don't be offended that I deleted your post. I'm just trying to help people get some good information quickly so that it doesn't get too lost in the shuffle of everything that happens on Facebook, which everything does. So, hey, Tony, thanks for coming on and helping me out with this, because I know a lot of leaders are scrambling right now. Well, even like you just said off air that your church is meeting at this point, and,
Right.
and so now you've got to twist gears and shift gears and all that. So, and there are going to be some churches that are still going to continue to meet, and what we want to talk about that too. What are you doing to prep for some of that so that you can have peace of mind as a leader? So I think that'll be good. So. Well, it looks like we've got a few people watching, so you can make comments. We've got let me open up the public chat there. Hopefully it opens up. Well, it's not going to tell us who said what, but that's kind of funny. We're trying a new system, so hopefully we'll be able to catch. So if you do have questions or a resource that you want to share, feel free. You can post it in the comments on there. But so Tony, tell me, since you guys are meeting, let's talk about that first. What are some of the things that you are doing to get ready for this weekend?
Well, this weekend is going to be, we're expecting pretty low attendance. All the big churches in our community have kind of canceled. The school systems are shutting down next week. The big universities, everybody's freaked out about the big news, of course, is there's no toilet paper to be found anywhere. That's viral as can be. And so the first thing we're doing is we're hiding the toilet paper at the church. The second thing is we're putting up signs on the doors saying, like the CDC, wash your hands, kind of stuff like that. No handshaking, no passing the plate.
Yep.
We're expecting a smaller crowd. We're going to encourage people to, keep their distance. And I think everybody who comes is going to kind of be prepared for that anyway, just from what's happening in the culture. So, our church leadership met together and they said, it's going to be a pretty low risk, and we have a good feeling from our older group that they're going to self cancel. I don't know the word for that, but they're going to keep themselves home. Anybody who's older, who has the pre-existing conditions, they're going to be wise. We really believe that on their own. So, that's kind of our baseline now, but we're fully prepared to go online next week. We got Facebook Live. We were actually going to buy some new equipment this week to make sure the service is a little bit, nicer looking on live, but we already have the sermons podcasted. We already have, lots of connectivity with the church digitally. So we don't think it'll be a big jump, but the 1 week's one thing, right? We all have snowstorms, right? But we're looking at, our local school is going to be out. It's not official yet, but most of the rumors are saying 4 to 6 weeks local schools are out. And our church leadership kind of feels like, if the local schools are out, that puts the burden of proof. The big churches are out, the local schools out. that puts the burden of proof on us to say, hey, we're going to do this. We're going to do this safely. So,
Right.
um,
Yeah.
I don't know what will happen if we go 4 and 5 weeks. There's offering issues. You just feel like you lose some momentum.
Right.
But I'm thinking about putting some stuff up this weekend and telling other people to come to our church if they want to, because like their churches are canceled. But I'm like, nah, I don't know if that's.
Yeah.
I don't know how that works.
Well, I did see one church that I happened to follow that was saying, hey, we do have space under the governor's guidelines here in Ohio. So come on out.
Right.
We're going to take all the precautions, and obviously, they're telling people if they're sick, stay home and watch online. They're going to stream. And so, yeah, it's one of those things that churches are going to have to really seek God and use wisdom.
Right.
And to think about it, what's the best message we can send to our communities? What can we do to yes, keep, thankfully us in children's ministry, we're seeing that it's not, children that are getting sick too much, excuse me, but we are seeing kids that carry apparently is what they're doing. So I think that's part of, here in Ohio, though, our governor has now given an extra 3 weeks of spring break starting on Monday. So
this needs to be the children's sermon everywhere.
yeah. So well, we have a question. Somebody's asking, are you going to have small groups at your church?
Yeah, our small groups are not meeting. The ones that were supposed to meet this week, they self-canceled. Dry cough.
Yes.
Excuse me.
You're scared to touch your face. You're scared.
Yeah, there was kind of a middle of the road proposal where we have 2 services. We were going to do 1 service and cancel Sunday school and cancel like kids ministry, nursery, everything. But we decided just to go business as normal. And so we're business as normal this week. I think that may be the kind of the middle of the road. You cancel everything but the worship service, and then you tell people to space out 2 chairs or if you have chairs or pews, it depends on how you do it.
Yeah.
But no small groups for us, but Sunday school, yes. So
yeah. So yeah, I think that's the big thing is for churches. If you're going to have service, yes, obviously do a deep clean before children come into the space, and follow there's lots of research on the CDC and the World Health Organization's websites that give basic recommendations of what you should clean with. And that's if you can find anything.
If you can find it, right.
Good
Lysol shortage.
Yeah. Lysol toilet paper, I understand the toilet paper thing still gives me, I'm just like, Lord have mercy on all of us if toilet paper is the thing we all rush for. And I got lots of ferns out in my woods. I'm okay.
Oh,
sorry, had to go. I got to bring some humor into this, man. I'm like ready to go on in a fern sales and say, hey, I can do 1 ply, 2 ply, 3 ply. You take
there you go. There you go.
Oh, that's sad. But we got to have some humor in this day. That's for sure. So anyway, so all right. Well, let's talk about your article in your blog post. By the way, guys, if you don't know, Tony does blog at Ministry to Children. And that's ministry to children.com.
dash.
Yeah. But he went and he asked a bunch of people the other day, hey, what are your plans for how you're going to do ministry when church is closed? And so that was, again, part of the catalyst of saying, hey, let's do this Facebook Live just to talk about it and brainstorm with people. And so you came up with some really good, I was like watching the little thread that we had with this, and there was a lot of good ideas. Hit me with a couple ideas that you had. And if you want to,
if you think of all the normal categories, and I kind of put them in 4 categories, and I've been obsessing about this for 2 weeks, and I was kind of planning this out for next week, and then the NCAA canceled and everything's hitting all at once. And I said, man, we're done. And then the big churches in my community canceled. And I said, well, it's a lot of bigger churches are going to cancel. This is going to be a real thing.
Yeah.
This Sunday. So, I kind of put them into 4 categories. The first category would be like family-led stuff, and that's pretty typical stuff. You're going to say, hey, parents are going to take over, do a children's church. I thought it would be fun. You have Bible story time, all these regular things. I said, well, what if you have the kids the kids plan and lead children's church for their parents? And I said, well, that would be a great memory. I don't know how the discipleship level would be long term, but I'm like, hey, that's great. Let's try a creative idea, acting out Bible stories, stuff like that. That's all kind of family led. The second basket of ideas was kind of like church leaders through the internet giving you programming. So doing children's church through Facebook, doing your Sunday school classes through Zoom. There's different, there's Life Church has like a whole children's church program anyway that's just online. So there's lots of things you can do, through the internet with the church leaders leading. So that was the second basket. Third basket was kind of like a homework concept. And in Indiana, we have e-learning days. So all of our kids are going to be doing homework online if this thing happens like it's supposed to happen. We're going to be doing assignments online and stuff. And I said, well, what if the children's ministry was giving out assignments like, you have this worksheet, or you have this art project, or you have like you say, okay, I've got 200 kids. I'm going to send them all a coloring page in the mail or through email, depending if they have printers or not. And they can snap a picture, send it back, and you're going to flood your church's Facebook page with that, So there's just all kinds of things. Anything you send out to a kid, their parents all have this smartphone or this iPad, or there's tons of ways parents can get you feedback on what you're doing right away. So give the kids an assignment, and I think the homework idea works because there's kind of like an accountability and a reward system built in. Yeah. And so we listed a bunch of ideas under the kind of basket of homework. And then the fourth one, this one was kind of stretching for me, is because I wanted to have, in my ministry philosophy, like joining in the work of Jesus. That's the whole point, of discipleship. So you got to have fellowship, you got to have learning, but then you have to have an avenue for kids to join into the work of Jesus's kingdom. So I'm like, man, what can we do for that? And so I was brainstorming some ideas, like they could do encouragement projects for their teachers, for firefighters, for doctors and nurses who are going to be working during this thing. The kids can write a note or make a Facebook video and send it to a couple nurses they might know, send it to their school teachers or their bus drivers who are out of work. I drive a school bus now, and I'm thinking I'm not going to have money for 2 weeks, 4 weeks, or whatever. And so there's all these kinds of things. I thought a fun one would be to go for like a nature prayer walk as a family. And this would be kind of in the category of service projects or joining in the work of Jesus, where you just go out and you're just praying over God's creation. And, and these are things that you can do that are 100% discipleship. They're children's ministry, and they don't require you to get together as a church. Yeah. So I think as we went through this list, and there was a ton of people on Facebook, and I was talking to all the different writers on our staff, and I was reaching out to people like you who I respect and know what's happening out there. And I said, let's brainstorm, and let's not make this a big, bad, scary thing. Oh, church is canceled. Jesus is gone. What are we going to do? Right. Church is for us. It's not for Jesus. So, it's like Jesus is going to be okay if we miss a few weeks, but we want to keep the ministry rolling forward. And there's actually exciting ways to do this that are going to build good habits in these families. And it's going to force the church to jump into new technology. Like I was a little bit frustrated because I was like, okay, what do we do at our church that was exactly the same as 50 or 100 years ago, pre-internet, Yeah. There's we have hymnals. I mean, I know we're old school. We have hymnals. We have pianos. We do have a printed bulletin that I print on a digital computer, whatever. But there's a lot of things that we do at our church about the same as always has been. And so we're not using technology in discipleship. And maybe this would be a kickstart for churches to do that.
Yes.
So that's my spiel. Jump in and comment. I know I'm talking too fast for you to interrupt, but that's by design.
You're fine. You're fine. And I think what we're doing and what we're talking about it is that exact thing that I think, if anything, and one of the questions I'm going to throw up in the Facebook group is that idea, because I would love to have a discussion on it. Is so how is this going to motivate the church to change? Because we've talked about partnering with parents for a long time, but in reality, we haven't done a lot of partnering with parents except for take-home pages, and that kind of thing. And so now, this whole idea of not so much of throwing stuff at the parents, but saying, okay, how do we equip the parents to lead their kids? And you're right, because I think this is one reason why it's so important, is because we need to keep the anxiety level down for our children.
Yeah.
And we as parents are battling that anxiety. I know I'm battling that anxiety. I mean, I'm a small business owner. I mean, I've got 2 small businesses that rely on the economy to be strong and healthy, and that people are out and about. And you know, right now, I mean, yeah, my anxiety level is high, and I don't want that to affect my family in a negative way. And so I think on the weekend, when all of a sudden we're like, we're not going to church, now's a good time to teach kids what church is all about and what church really is. That,
Right.
hey, as a family, we are going to church. We're going to sit down together because we are the church. And so that's why I love the family led ideas that you came up with. And I hope that we can do a better job of fostering this all the time.
Yeah.
I just think that we haven't totally equipped parents to get comfortable with this kind of stuff. And there will be parents that are really going to struggle with this on this weekend.
Yeah.
Struggle with how do I have a conversation?
Well, and I had anxiety when the school sent out the thing that they're going to do e-learning next week. I'm like, I don't want to explain math to my little girl. I don't want to do that. That's not in my giftedness. That's not in my passion. So I can relate to any parent. Imagine that parent who's thinking, "Oh, I don't want to tell a Bible story."
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be like that. It can be fun. It can be creative. This can be a great memory, like worship dance party. That's one I really am excited about. We're going to throw some worship songs on the big YouTube TV in the living room, and we're just going to freak out and dance and have a good time and praise Jesus. And that's something any parent can do, unless they're medically frail and can't dance. But you can clap your hands. You can have a good time. So depending on the age of kids, there's a lot of great things you can do. It doesn't have to be super structured. I mean, I think that's the thing parents need to realize, is that there is a right and wrong way to do math, but when it comes to praising God, it's just doing it. It's just doing it.
Yeah, I mean, and they, the thing is, as parents, yeah, you don't have to sing. You can listen to music. You can read scripture. You can do a nature walk and say, "Hey, I see God. How He made this so beautiful and that so beautiful." And I think the potential, because I think we have to brace ourselves that there will be a week or 2 or 3 at least that we're not meeting collectively.
I put up 6 fingers. I couldn't find the camera though. So, yeah.
And so what that does is then say to us as children's ministry leaders and as the church that, okay, we do need to have a longer term strategy. And so looking forward beyond this weekend, even, and looking that we're coming closer to Easter, what can we do to set up our families to experience worship together? And so I think as leaders, we are going to have to throw things out there to the parents, and maybe even create little tutorials. And parents, if this makes you nervous to have a family worship service, let me give you 3 tips real quick of how you can be at ease and win with this. And your kids aren't going to be going, do we have to do that? I mean, because I think that's what parents are scared of. Because they, again, here comes the old, well, you guys are the professionals. You know how to do this. I don't know how to do that.
Right.
And so I want to put parents' minds at ease. And that's one thing that I want to see us do as kid ministry leaders. And that's why I love lists like these. Because this helps if we can create little resources for parents and throw them out and say, here's a list, pick something that you can do. I've already seen one of a mom that I know who's already planned out next week that every day is going to have a different themed day. So Monday is dress like your favorite movie character day. Tuesday is I think it's St. Patrick's Day, so it's dress in green day. She's doing she's themed out, so you can get creative with stuff like this. And no, she's not a homeschool parent either, so
Right.
Homeschool parents are pros. They're like, hey, we got this, and
Right.
they're laughing at everybody right now that's panicking because we're home every day. This is all good. But I'm loving the fact that people are thinking, and so I think that's what we as church leaders have to do too, is go, okay, if we're going to do this for a couple weekends or more,
Mhm.
what kind of tools can we put right in their hands and say, here's how we do this? Or like one of the suggestions, I think you actually quoted me on it, was recording your own large group time. And I think when you record those times, that's where you queue up the parents and say, okay, pause the video right here, time out. Parents, turn to your kids, talk to them about this, answer these questions, and then put the questions up on the screen with a little timer, or just put it up there and put some music on, by your microphone, and then pop back off, pop off the screen, pop back on the screen, and then say, okay, now, hey kids, you answer this question to your parents.
Right.
I think there's simple little things. It doesn't have to be high tech, that we can do, to help people out. All right, got a question from the Facebook group. I like this. Have y'all thought through or took action as far as Easter events? And are you waiting to see what happens between now and then, or scheduling proactively?
Yeah, I think we're in bad shape when it comes to Easter personally. I think just everything I've seen, and I've been so obsessed with this that every night I'm reading Apple News for 2 hours and I wake up with a sore throat, just because the stress. But I mean, Easter's going to be a problem this year. I think of like big Easter egg hunts. Our church doesn't do one. We have one that's in our township, and we all just participate in the town's Easter egg hunt. But I'm pretty sure they're going to cancel that because they've already canceled Little League Baseball. Little League Baseball is canceled.
Yeah.
Which is
Masters was canceled.
And that's I don't agree with that. I'm not a health expert, and I see the big picture that we want to limit the virus swap as much as we can. But outside in lawn chairs, kids throwing baseballs, that's not going to be a high. It's not like basketball. It's not NCAA basketball where you're sweating on each other and stuff. So I think that they're going to be canceling Easter egg hunts across the country. I know our township probably will. I think then that's going to put the pressure on the church. If all the public groups are saying no Easter egg hunt, that puts pressure on the church to say, okay, are we going to be brave and do this anyway? And have because this is, there's a health risk, but I hate to say it, but there's a PR risk. You don't want to be, if this, because we're right at the beginning of this. If we turn into Italy, where they're having to triage who they can intubate in the hospitals because it hits too fast. If we turn into Italy, then it's gonna come back, and you're gonna think, man, what could we have done? So you don't want to go there, but then you don't want to be silly. It's like, we know that everything like this is going to be overblown. This is going to be unless people turn to zombies tomorrow, it's already overblown.
Right. Right.
So you got to kind of keep a level head. But I think
I agree.
I think Easter egg hunts are going to be out. I think anything that's not like essential church ministry is going to be out.
Yep. I would, if I were in a position, what I would be doing right now is, one, just stay in constant contact with your local community. Follow their lead. They just said, well, my fear has been of canceling too soon and having it be nothing. Yeah, that's why I wouldn't cancel yet. I would just update families that we're monitoring with our local community, and we will keep you updated. Well, I'll give the best example I know how to give is the happiest place on earth, Disney World. All this last week, they have continued to say, hey, we're operating as normal. We're taking all the precautions. And they just kept following. And there was no doubt in my mind, from what I've understood, like say being a travel agent, and hearing on the inside things, that they were monitoring everything closely. And it came down to this final point of where they're like, okay, we are going to close at this weekend. We're going to gap it out. And right now they're just saying this is the temporary stay. And we will let you know about future things. So they're not saying it's going to be long term, but they're also not saying it's short term either. And I think that's what we have to do, is address people and say, hey, look, we're still planning for it. But I would also, when I coach leaders, I'm always like, always have a plan B. So I would say start developing now what you're going to do and how you can make the most of the Easter weekend. So again, what can we do to set up your families? What can you do to minister to your community? Because again, this is the time for the church to be out in for our community.
Yeah, and to be fair, all of us church staffies, right? We're going to have extra hours. We're going to have work we don't have to do, because if we don't have service, we're going to have hours that we need to do. We need to do our work. We need to be faithful to our if our church is paying us, we need to be, we need to be grinding and finding ways to get, even if you have 100 families, you can text message. If you sit down one day, you can text message every parent in your ministry, and just say, hey, I'm here for you. We want to resource you. We want to pray for you. You could do that. You could do like high touch ministry through digital right now.
And that's what we should be doing. I mean, I have a friend of mine who posted out on Facebook his phone number and said, look, if you or your children are feeling overwhelmed with anxiety, reach out and call me. Let's talk. If you need something, if you know of someone that needs something, let us minister and let us reach out and help them. And I think I think this is the time we capitalize on this kind of stuff and say, hey, we can. So yeah, when it comes to big events like this, I wouldn't say anything about postponing or canceling just yet. We still got a couple of weeks. Lots of stuff can change. It is a very fluid situation. Everybody keeps saying it is going to get worse, and we know that, yes, expect that. But also this is where, as it gets worse, we can be agents of calm and peace. Somebody just said, I keep telling my ministry team that I'm just monitoring and watching before I cancel our spring fling. Yeah, good. Hang in there and be patient. Don't rush and react, respond.
And context is everything. I mean, Imagine you're in, like, I have friends at a big church in Cincinnati. It's probably the biggest in Cincinnati, maybe the biggest in Ohio. I don't know. I don't know what churches are like in Ohio, but they went ahead and canceled this weekend, right? Because they feel like they have the burden as the big church, as kind of the leader, and they have a lot of people. They're obviously going to violate the governor's guidelines or whatever. But if you're in a small country church, say you have 40 people, 40 kids in your ministry, or 20 kids in your ministry, and half of them are cousins anyway. They're having dinner together after church. That's a different context. Do you need to like quarantine, a rural setting? I don't know. I don't know. So your context does matter. And when you go back to canceling things, I think it's important for church leaders to have, before things happen, to have like a clear policy in mind. Like the policy I advocate is, we're going to follow any public health directives because we're going to honor our government. That's a Christian value. And when our government says to love your neighbor means not shaking hands, I think we should honor that. They're not telling us not to love Jesus. They're just telling us suspend some of these things for a while. So I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
We're going to honor our school policies in terms of children's ministry, just like a snow day. Churches out, our schools out, schools out, programs out. That's been our long-term policy, because we say, we're going to trust and honor, the expectations in the community. Because I think the church, and this is kind of my stick, but you are here for the community. You're a part of the community. So, there's not a separation of like, hey, the community does one thing, the church does the other thing. No, we're all together. We're that good seed within that soil. So we're gonna do what we can. And
yeah,
I'm not saying like the church should ever bow, and stop worshiping Jesus or whatnot. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about a temporary love your neighbor, take a break, but do stuff online, which I think we've had some ideas here. This could be good.
Yeah,
but
I agree. Go ahead.
Yeah, just knowing your context and having in mind ahead of time what's the threshold for canceling this, and if your church is all on the same page, and the other churches in town are canceling, where's the burden of proof? Everybody's going to make mistakes. This has never happened before, or maybe it has and we just don't remember because we're all young kids. But whatever decision you make, it's going to be right because you're doing it out of love. So
Right. That's it, man. I think, and there are lots of ways to minister to our community, our neighborhoods. I mean, I live in a neighborhood in a little subdivision that's got a lot of older families, and I've been messaging out to my neighbors and saying, because I know some of them have had health concerns in the past,
yeah,
and said, hey, if you need something, let us run to the store for you. Don't compromise yourself by going out for stuff. Let me go out, or let my family go out, and we'll take care of it, because I don't want my neighbors, doing that. And one of my neighbors was like, wow, thank you. That means a lot. And I'm like, well, it's what Jesus would do. I mean,
yeah.
I, so yeah, somebody just said, hey, great conversation. I'm 45 minutes from the CDC. My town has lost its mind. We've made national news for people fighting at Sam's Club. Yeah.
So let's get countercultural. What church is going to give away toilet paper
Yeah.
on the street
Yeah.
in like a full space suit, giving away toilet paper house to house? What are you going to do?
I will tell you something that hit me this morning. There are a lot of local schools where they're feeding kids meals 2 times a day.
Yeah.
And sorry, I just saw that comment come up into the group. Richard, oh, you do. Anyway, I'm going to go back to my serious comment first.
Right.
That there are schools, there are communities that kids are dependent on going to school right now because of meals, breakfast and lunch. And this would be a golden opportunity for churches to step into a space and help local schools with food, preparing meals, and finding out how can we help there, because that's going to be huge, to communities. There's kids that don't, they don't get breakfast or lunch during the week unless they're going to school. And so there's another one that just popped in to my head that hey, we need this as another opportunity for the church, that we could go childcare. You've got all these healthcare workers and first responders who can't take time away from work. They're mandatory to come in.
And what if the daycares close?
And what if the daycares close?
They're out.
And so if you have opportunity that you can create a safe space and a clean space, then check with your local community and see how they would advise you to go about setting up that place. But maybe that's what one of the things the local church can do, is open up some of their space for children to come and to hang out, to get a meal, to have some daycare for free, so that families aren't having to pay for it. What a great opportunity we have to minister in that way, because I know, I've talked to, again, my wife works in a hospital, and she has a lot of coworkers that are really nervous right now because their schools are shutting down, and the nurses have no childcare now. And so how many of them are going to call in because they need to stay home with their children? And that's going to create a crisis. So this is a place where the church could step up and step in, is to look at that and say, how can we do that?
And let me pick up on that. Just this is happening so fast, and it's happened right here in this conversation. And we've gone from fear to service. I think that's where the gospel is going to push all of us.
So,
we're in our flesh, we're afraid. And then, we move to loving our neighbors. Then we move to serving our neighbors. Then we move to laying down our life if necessary. So this is where the gospel is going to push us. And I think if our churches can get there fast, this is a ministry opportunity.
yes,
It's a ministry opportunity. If we get there slow, shame on us. It's human. Everybody makes mistakes. But if this is a 2 to 6 month event, that's going to be history in 3 years, right?
Right.
People are open right now. So find ways to serve, to do ministry, to join in the work of the kingdom of God. And the kingdom of God, this is what Jesus was doing. He was rolling back the effects of the curse in the world. He was healing sick people. He was leading them to salvation. He was fixing the hungry people. He was standing up to injustice. All this stuff that's happening. And you don't want to get into, and I don't want to get into all that, but social justice stuff. But the thing is, we as American Christians, we are strong, we are healthy, we are incredibly rich, and younger people like Tom, not myself, but young people like Tom, um,
Wow.
are going to have some resistance to some of this. So let's get past the fear as quick as possible. I'm not saying open church and get everybody sick, but get past the fear and find creative ways to do ministry that are remote, but at the same time can really serve people who are going to hurt.
Yeah. Yeah. Here's a couple more. There's a good question, and then I'm going to read a comment as well. But somebody's asking, well, so how would you advertise that you're offering childcare, especially when the schools are closing? I think that's where you take advantage of the Facebook groups. Your communities have all sorts of different Facebook groups. I would get on them, and I would, promote right there. Contact your local school and let them know. They have email chains and text message chains. So I would definitely, if you're able to set something like that up and get it going quickly, I would let that know. Let your local hospital know. If you don't want to advertise to the general public and you want to minister specifically to your local healthcare workers and first responders, then just call your police departments and your hospital and say, hey, if your nurses or doctors, if your firemen, policemen need childcare, our church is here for you.
Yeah, and even if it's not in the church building, because
Right.
when you're talking like adding 30 and 60 kids, I mean that's going to be
Yeah,
brushing up against some of these practices. But if you have a mom's group in your church, and you have 10 to 20 to 30 moms who have one or two kids, and they're out of work, their kids are home, say, hey, let's have a friend over this week, and that's much more manageable, and it's still Christian love. It's just spread out,
and you could
do ministry without the building.
Yes. Yeah, you totally could go. That's even better. And run background checks if you need to, so you can let people know that we've background checked our people, and we're taking care of it. But yeah, I think that's the way you do it. Capitalize on that. Hey, Wayne, how you doing, bud? Good.
It's funny. We're just volunteering our wives to do all this stuff, but what can guys do, right? Oh, we're gonna hand out toilet paper.
Yeah. We're gonna police that for Costco and Sam's. Yes. We're going to volunteer to be security. No, I'm not. Mama didn't raise no fool. I'm not getting in the way of people with shopping carts and run like Black Friday.
Right.
It's just insane. But somebody said I teach English online to China, to kids in China. My students haven't been allowed out of their home since mid-January. Parents are allowed to go outside 2 to 3 days a week to get groceries. They have to sign out of their apartment buildings, have their temperature taken before. Wow. They go, and when they come back, they have it taken again. They also have to shower and change clothes right away. Wow. Well, there's no doubt, guys, that we have to be people of prayer, and we have to be people of peace and love. I think we have to remember that even though whether you think this is totally overkill, what we're doing here in the States, yes, at first I was getting really angry and upset by what I felt like was total overreaction. But the more I've thought and prayed about it, there are people that are very fearful, and there are very, and if I can help somebody by foregoing, going to a sporting event and that kind of thing, I'm okay with that. Again, I want our government to have common sense, and I want to pray for them and lift them up. I am the one thing. I'm going to get on a soapbox real fast, and then because we're going to have to wrap up. But whether you agree or not with our president, I can't stand it when I see Christians bashing him and bashing him and bashing him. What kind of a message does that send? Whether you like his politics, whether you like his personality or not, now is not the time to be doing those things. And we need to be demonstrating love and peace and forgiveness. And we need to pray for our president harder than we've ever prayed before, and his staff. I can't imagine, we're sitting here wondering how hard it is to cancel an egg hunt.
Yeah, right. And
And
he's closing off Europe. I mean, that's a big deal.
yeah, well, and today probably having to set down, a national emergency situation where, funding can happen and things can happen. So listen, guys, as believers, let's set the pace. Let's set the example on social media. And let's be people of prayer. Let's be people of action. Because I mean, a lot of the world will go, oh yeah, those Christians are praying about it. What good does that do? Well, let's show them what prayer does. Prayer mobilizes God's power. So let's be that, because we are God's power. We're the hands and feet. Let's get in it. If you're healthy, if you can serve somebody, get out there. Somebody just said we're going to continue our backpack program and coordinating with a school we sponsor. We're going to have 3 people coordinate and take to their schools, and the school will help us allow to distribute. That is awesome. Oh, that was Richard. Hey, cool. Way to go, funny man. I love him. That's awesome. I mean, hey guys, that's it. I mean, maybe what we do with all the Easter eggs and the hunt is we bag them up and go randomly drive around. Well, disinfect them, of course. People out and go put them in people's yards, and you've been egged. And yes, they're clean. I can see this going so south.
Yeah, I'm gonna mow my yard here in a few months. I'm gonna say, whose stupid idea was this? And then stray dogs are gonna drop dead from eating them. Come on, Tom. No. All right. So
you know what I'm saying, man. You could take what you have and you could find a way to redeem it, make it safe. Well, yeah. I mean, hey, I remember the days where I used to go and toilet paper people. Now, what a blessing that would be.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know how many Friday, Saturday nights I was out toilet. Why am I confessing this on Facebook?
Well, I think let me interrupt Tom. He's got the giggles. This is an opportunity for churches. Everybody's going to do things wrong. Everybody's learning. This is not new. I don't even know if we're to day 0 yet of the real crisis happening.
Right.
If all these preventions happen, it's going to blow over in 6 weeks. Perfect. Good win. Don't go back and second guess and say, oh, it was nothing. The prevention worked. The NBA saved the world by canceling or whatever. Or if it gets worse, we're going to keep learning and evolving. So I think grace toward everybody, political foe and friend alike. Grace toward people groups. Don't be hating on Chinese people. Don't be complaining. This iPad came from China. I don't want to use it. That's silly, But let's be, let's laugh, let's have fun. But let's be Christians. Let's love people and show lots of grace, because this is a unique thing. These are all unique. Think back to 9/11.
Yeah,
there was good choices, there was bad choices, there was churches preaching against Muslim, there was churches, it was weird. It was a weird time, and lots of mistakes were made, but I think we all learned and grew as a community of faith, and this is another opportunity.
And it is one of those things that, again, we redeem the time and we make the most of it. We don't have to stand on the corner and bash people and Bible thump them. But we do need to get out and love them, and we do need to get out and serve. And you're right. Like we said, and we can wrap it up with this, is that we need to move our communities from fear to service and faith and grace, leading with love and grace. You can't go wrong there. You really can't. And I think that's what we've got to do. Just let your communities know we're here for you. We don't want something from you. We're here for you. Mm-hmm. And if that requires us canceling some events, well, hey, you know what? Those events will come back and be fine. But take what you have and figure out, how can I give this away? How can I serve? I'm hearing some of the sports arenas and stuff that they had planned. They had all this food. Well, the owners of those arenas are cooking it, and they're going to go distribute it. So civil organizations are taking advantage of this and saying, hey, we're going to serve. Well, the church ought to be leading that, man. We ought to be saying, how can we help you? How can we help distribute? What can we do to serve alongside of you? Because we definitely don't need to compete. We need to partner. And if you can partner with another local church, then partner with a local church. Partner with local schools. Do what you can to again, just message parents. Hey, I'm praying for you. If you need something this week, because hey, we're the kids people. We've got lots of ideas. We've got lots of resources. So
Yeah.
Parents, what do you need? How can I help? I think those words are huge. Just
how can I help? There's a preschool song that comes on the TV. I don't even know who it sings it, but it's how can I help? What can I do? I want to do nice things to you. I mean, that's like, that should be our theme song, right? We're here to serve. So,
yeah.
And text messages are free. You can send as many as you want. Facebook messages are free. I love how my pastor's handling this. He is spamming us to death right now with his text messages, over communicating. But you know what? And we have a lot of older folks. They need that assurance that, hey, we're here. We're praying for you. We're not going to put you in danger at church if we don't have to. Good
for you. Good for you.
And if you're watching Fox News 4 hours a day, you need to hear from your pastor. Or any news 4 hours a day.
For soul care for all of us as leaders. Fast from the media for a little while.
Fast. Apple News, turn it off. I can't. It's how I go to bed.
Tony,
hey Tom, thanks a lot, man. Have a great day, and let's keep in touch. And really enjoyed the conversation.
Sure. Well, KMC, if there's anything we can do, if there's anything I can do, hey, I'm here for you. How can I help? So God bless you guys. Love y'all. We'll have lots of good stuff coming around the Facebook page. So keep watching it. Keep sharing. If you do have a resource that relates to ministry in times of crisis, feel free to share that. If you're trying to promote your own products and selling stuff, we're not going to allow that. Those get deleted today. We are really just trying to push out stuff. If you have a question, message me. I'll look it over, and then we can decide together on how to do that. But right now, we just want to focus on helping each other, because again, that's what the collective is all about. Iron sharpening iron, helping each other, using the collective strengths to build the kingdom. So God bless y'all. We love you. And again, just have a good weekend. Let me close with prayer. Father God, I just uplift Tony. I lift up my brothers and sisters that are watching, and those that will watch this video back. God, I pray for our body of believers, the community of faith, the church, those that belong to the collective. And God, I just ask that, God, you would just reign supreme, that you would give us creativity, that you would show us your power, and that, God, again, you don't give us a spirit of fear, but one of power and love and of a sound mind. God, help us to use our minds and the peace that passes all understanding that we hold. And God, may we lean into our communities. May we show them just how much you love them. And that, again, we don't want anything from them. We have something for them. And that's hope in Jesus, that they don't have to be afraid. And God, I pray for those that are sick, that have been affected by this virus, and for the flu as well, that God, you would touch their bodies. And as the God of healing, that God, you would bring healing to those. That God, I just pray that against that spirit of fear, I pray against the enemy, that God, you would allow us to stand boldly before you and before our world and shine for you, and let them know that you are God. Because God, we do know the days are growing evil. The time is running short, and we do need to show your love to the world. They need to see us as being something different, of offering hope and life and grace and truth. So Lord, let us do that in these days. Let us minister the way that brings glory to you, and more people that will see, because of what we do, will glorify you and come to know you. And it's in your name, Jesus, we pray. Amen.
Amen.
God bless everybody. Thanks for watching. Thanks, Tony. We'll talk at you later.